The Southern Upland Way, Day 6, Stroan Patrick to Sanker, 23 miles. This is supposed to be one of the longest, remotest and toughest stages of the Southern Upland Way, and we can certainly testify to that. It was probably even tougher than it should have been because, yet again, we had foul weather for most of the day. Furthermore, once again our taxi couldn't pick us up to return us to the trail until 10 a.m. Ideally, we would have liked to have left hours before that so that we could reach our accommodation at a civilized time. But, like the previous day, we only just made it in time before they stopped serving supper. This was also the day when I started to struggle, both mentally and physically. I was initially convinced that the cheese sandwich that I ate for lunch the previous day was the cause, but then I started to experience waves of anxiety as well as nausea. Somehow I struggled through the day, trying to coordinate deep yoga breathing with my gait, and although that helped to some extent, the anxiety kept breaking through, and by the evening I was in pretty bad shape. I started to realize that I had pushed myself too far, both mentally and physically, and that the turmoil in my digestive system was actually a symptom of my burgeoning anxiety. And don't get me wrong, although I was struggling, I was still hacking it and actually able to appreciate the beauty of the landscape we were walking through, despite the rain. That evening I became extremely worried that I was once again starting to spiral down into the depths of despair. Please check out the link between the vagus nerves and the coronary, respiratory and digestive systems, which is outside the scope of this account, but which is worthy of further investigation. Since suffering from severe clinical depression and anxiety for many years, when I was in my 40s, I still balance on a knife's edge between well-being and mental illness, but experience over the years has provided me with the tools to recognize the symptoms when they rear their ugly heads and to deal with them accordingly. For more information about this, please see my video entitled Anxiety and Depression. I was kicking myself for allowing this to happen and started to analyze the causes, which were multifaceted. By the end of day 6, we had already walked almost 120 miles, and the physical rigors of the trail were starting to take their toll, although normally this would not have been a problem for me. However, I realized that I was extremely anxious about completing the trail. I had been building up to it for years, and in my mind, considerable prestige was riding on my completing this, my final national and great trail, and the final walk to be included in my book and video project. All my friends and acquaintances were cheering me on, and I didn't want to disappoint either them or myself. I started to doubt my ability to hack the trail, even though I knew deep down that I was perfectly capable of completing the task. Furthermore, my spiritual guides were gently telling me that I could and would do it, but I chose to ignore their gentle support and advice. I fell into a vicious circle of worry and self-doubt and was struggling to keep a lid on it. I did my best to conceal my mental state from Alex because I didn't want to drag him down too, but he is a sensitive soul and realized that something was not right. Please see my Day 7 video for more about what happened next. Leaving Stroan Patrick at the start of our day and continuing our journey into the wilderness. Looking back towards Stroan Patrick after a 2-mile slog as we head up Mankill Hill. a rare break in the weather, providing us with this beautiful view towards the Carsfern Range. Although it was pouring with rain by this stage, we experienced a magical moment as we approached this atmospheric pool on Craig and Carsburn, because we saw a large white deer standing on the other side, calmly watching us approach. It was one of those special moments when time stands still and you are simply immersed in the beauty of existence. A few moments later, the deer loped away and we continued on our way, enriched by this experience. After a very long climb, we reached the top of Ben Brack at 1,902 feet and were rewarded with this non-view of one of the 4 striding arches in the area, which were created by local artist Andy Goldsworthy. On a good day, you are supposed to be able to see 2 of the other arches which have been erected on nearby hills, but we were encased in a world of mist and rain and sadly missed out on the views. Striding away from the striding arch. The Polskeith Bothy was a welcome sight because by this stage, more or less halfway through our day, we were very wet. We piled in through the door, changed our clothing and ate our lunch. We were very happy bunnies. After the Bothy, there is another long road section along Scour Glen. Alex changed into his road walking shoes, but I opted to continue wearing my trail shoes because my feet were still relatively dry and I didn't want to jinx that. We found our 5th kist on Cloud Hill. Getting closer to Sanka. And ever closer. Crossing the River Nith. The sun came out as we staggered into Sanka along the River Nith after our long, hard day. Please see my Day 7 video for the continuation.